Everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cleve Podcast. Today's episode is a little bit different, and honestly, it might end up becoming one of our favorite formats. Over the last few weeks, we've been getting a lot of messages, not just comments, but real questions, situations people are actually living in right now. Boundaries with parents, in-laws, no contact decisions, how that incorporates into weddings and funerals, the complicated real life stuff. So today we're doing our first question and answer episode. And again, a reminder, these are real questions from listeners, and we're just going to walk through how we think about them, not as professionals, but as people who have lived it. And if you hear a question that sounds like yours, well, that means you're probably not alone. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a mini episode of the Cleve Podcast. It's John and Ash.
Hi, this is going to be fun. I like mini.
So we had kind of talked about before doing question and answer type episodes so that more people from the class, right, can benefit from the responses. And so we'll do this periodically, kind of open up the questions, and when people have them, we'd love to just answer them. So this will be a little bit more rapid fire, different format than what our kind of traditional long form episodes are. So anyways, hopefully you'll find them helpful. We have about 6 or 7 questions to go through, and I'll ask Ash and I'll kind of comment on them as well. So you ready to dive in?
Yes.
All right.
Let's go.
This first one came in 2 different forms. One was in kind of the short form question, and then she responded or kind of messaged us in a more long form, but I think we kind of know the context. So it says, how do you have boundaries with toxic in-laws when one's spouse cannot see the issue? And so when this individual kind of elaborated on it, it is basically, I think, that she feels strongly that she needs to be in a no contact situation. And her husband is more of the mentality of like, but they're family, and wants to kind of forgive the poor behavior. And it's now creating a little bit of a divide. Not a little bit, a lot of divide between the two of them.
Okay. Well, I was once this spouse, I think, to an extent. And so I think it really helped me when John kind of put his foot down, honestly, and didn't give me an option. And it was kind of like, no, I'm not doing that. And I could kind of, I don't know, I just felt I would feel, even though I didn't like it, I would feel that there was wisdom in not requiring him to do this thing that he didn't want to do. I know I've mentioned in the past, he also confronted me on a situation where I was putting my family first above his needs and what was best for him. And he told me we made a covenant to put each other first. And he kind of educated me on that. And that could be weaponized if somebody's wanting something toxic, right? But in this case, I really felt like it was true, and the Spirit testified to me that what he was saying was true, and that I was not looking out for his best interest before I was trying to please my family. And I do think that this is why having God be the foundation of our marriage is so wise and healthy, because it kind of helps get us on the same page. But I just think, it comes down to boundaries, and we not only have to place them with in-laws, but we also have to place them with spouses all the time. John and I still are placing boundaries with each other of just like, that's not good for me. I'm not going to do that, and when you've known someone for long enough, you can kind of tell there, of course, needs to be give and take on both sides. But sometimes when somebody's really serious, a boundary is needed. And so I think if you feel that strongly, you just tell your spouse, this is what I'm doing. And you can't maybe require the same of him. He will probably need to be on his own journey of getting there. And again, this will tell you what kind of a marriage you have. Do you have one where
it'll put you in the pressure test?
It
big
will,
time.
where mutual respect is able to grow, or is it compliance is demanded for the comfort of one spouse? And these are just the real life tests that are very kind of scary and painful, but they expose what's real within our relationships and what's not.
Yeah. And the thing I would just say to add on to that is be patient with your spouse. It's a process to go through the realization of harm and dysfunction and things that were normalized in childhood that are not normal. And the biggest thing is you need to get on a solid place where you're able to communicate openly and freely. But I think like where Ashley and I are now, we can't imagine a relationship where we would force each other to fall on the sword in a really unhealthy relationship that is harming us.
Yeah.
And like in this case, again, I don't know the details, so I don't want to over encourage one path or the other. But the way I envision it is that if you um, feel like this family member or family is really toxic, unhealthy, and damaging, but then your spouse continues to go to those people and treat them like they're not being toxic, harming, and damaging, like there's nothing more hurtful than that. And it's so confusing of like, why are you supporting the very people that are hurting me? And so I would love to have a conversation with your spouse on that.
Yeah.
But I also think like it can be hard when it is spouse to spouse too. The emotions can be high, and the tensions can be high, and that can cloud things. But I think therapists can definitely help kind of mediate that, bring the temperature down, help you look at facts, help you communicate pain, etc. The one other thing too that I would mention, I always told Ash kind of in these early phases, but the book I always recommend too is Crucial Conversations. Also talks about the framework of having these kinds of conversations. So as you're teeing up, if it's just not getting through to your spouse, but you have things that you really need to talk through that are, because if you don't, the resentment builds, and this can have such a devastating impact on your marriage. No one wants that. So it's good of you to address it today, but these are serious things
Yeah.
that need to be
I
taken
have one
seriously.
other kind of practical tip. You know, the thing, John is so good. He just naturally was, I don't know, you were just born really good. He's always just he's good. He's a good person and a very good husband. And I'm so appreciative of that. But he just kind of naturally always knew how to prioritize me. And I felt that. And so in the moments where he was asking me to prioritize him, it was easy to see my need because I would be able to see, like he said, I would never ask that of you. I would never ask you to do what's best for my mom. Like I want to do what's best for you first. And I would be able to see that that was true. So when you are wanting something from your spouse, you kind of have to put your money where your mouth is, and you have to be it, and you have to lead by example. And the nature of kind of like immature relationships, or like when we're not used to doing these things, you're going to get some tests probably as the spouse where like your family has planned a family dinner and where ordinarily everybody would go, he maybe creates a fuss and is like, well, I'm not going. Just meet him, kind of understand, be wise enough to understand the psychology behind what's happening and just be like, okay, like that's totally fine. I don't want you to have to go if you don't feel comfortable or if you don't feel good or, you know, they did something hurtful to you. Like, that's okay. Sometimes you just kind of like, it is human psychology to like play games a little bit and be like, well, if you're going to say no to me, then I'm going to say no to you. Show them, show your spouse through example that you are also willing to put them first. And if they can see that, then oftentimes they are willing to follow. But you're going to get little tests and be wise enough to see it.
Great advice. We actually, the more I was thinking, I'm like, oh, we have so many things I could tell on this, but I think that's high level.
Yeah.
If you have more questions, reach out to us. The second question is an easier one. Someone said, what denomination do you associate with? Sorry, I'm really new here. Well, we are members and devout members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, sometimes called LDS online, sometimes called Mormons online. But yeah, we're members of that church.
Yes. And we love when people ask. So never apologize.
Yep. And if you have any questions about our faith, we're always happy to answer that.
We will answer any question. We know that our faith is confusing to people. We actually love people who are brave enough to ask, like, I heard this weird thing.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about it? Like, ask us those questions all day long. We love that.
Yep. Okay, this next one, I feel like needed a little bit more context, but I think we could still answer. Someone said, what would you do about parents that swindled you out of $250,000, but then tell the family a different story? I think we could probably simplify this and remove the details of the 250,000. And it's, what would you do when parents are changing the narrative about an event that was true? They're deviating from the truth and trying to paint a different story so that it's more broadly applicable. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, we've had that too.
I'm going to just say that I'm not a professional. These are just
yeah, these are
thoughts.
humans that, yeah.
In that instance, first and foremost, I would place a boundary around money and family of like, we will never do that again, right? And so just make sure that you can be completely detached. I feel like this one probably goes into the category of the truth will come out in time.
But I also think I don't know if you've had the conversation with your parents about it, but you need to, and say, you're not telling the right story. Why are you not telling the truth? And see what their reaction is. Because if their reaction turns into this venomous, avoidant, whatever, they want to brush things under the rug, but it's family, whatever, then that is something you need to take great note on, because they will do this again and again and again and again, because it's the very nature of how they respond to conflict. So if you haven't talked to them about it already, you need to. And when you do, or if you have, pay attention to how they respond and then proceed accordingly. And if it is in a really unhealthy way, to Ashley's point, boundaries. And boundaries isn't just
boundaries first and foremost on money.
Yeah, on the money for sure. But I'm just saying, you can layer these boundaries too. Like, it's okay, this isn't good. All right, now this isn't, you can do that. Yeah. But you want to give people the opportunity to do right. And if they don't, you need to see the fruits of their behavior, and then you need to respond accordingly.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a similar situation, just in that we had to fire my brother. It was uncomfortable. He told a very different story. We didn't tell our side of the story because we just kind of thought, in time, the truth will reveal itself. We don't need everyone to know. And we were actually okay to just kind of, we're never going to work with this individual again. He can tell his story. We'll be okay. We'll move forward. We can forgive the fact we see that he's very hurt. We're going to move forward. The problem with that became he didn't want to move forward. He then spent his life trying to conspire against us, and still is to this day.
Yeah.
And even though we weren't even telling our truth, he knew what the truth is. So you just have to watch their behavior. Is this problem
But as a result, we're in a completely no contact relationship with the person, because we're like, that the way they will spin the narrative and slander your name, and like, we want no part in that.
But I would just say, just watch their behavior and see, if it stops there and they're okay to just have their side told and everybody can just move on, and it doesn't continue to impact you. I mean, sure, if it doesn't continue to harm you.
Yep.
But I'd just be prayerful. You've got to keep analyzing behaviors.
Good. The next one said, this is not a question, but I just listened to the podcast yesterday. Can't wait for more. Thank you. We hope that you're liking the more that we're giving. But no, we love all of your support. This next one's a good one. How do you keep boundaries, no contact boundaries is what they said, with in-laws at an upcoming wedding? And again, there's various levels of this. I'll take a jab at this first. We had this situation. We had a niece
Good.
that we do have a relationship with, and we love actually her spouse. We've met him before. He taught our kids tennis. We wanted to be at that wedding. And ultimately, it was not a healthy environment for us to be in physical proximity to some family members that were going to be there. And
Well,
we can't
we thought that we
force.
would for a little while, but
Yeah.
from the time the invitations went out to then
Yeah.
the actual wedding, more things transpired, and we just decided this is not smart.
Yeah. And it, for a variety of reasons, right? It's like okay, it's their wedding. We don't want to like overly impact that. Are there feelings of like bitterness or sadness that we can't because of other people? Sure. But it's the classic tale of the only person you can change is yourself. We can't force other family members to uninvite family members or to put boundaries in place when we need boundaries. It's so terribly complicated in that regard, and everyone's on different levels. You have to do what is best for you. And if that means that you can't be present, then try to do your best to send love to the people that are getting married. And you're just going to not, for us, we didn't go. And it was sad, but ultimately was the right decision for us. On the flip side, like we're estranged from my sister. And if we had a wedding in my family, we would totally be fine to go, even though we're in a no contact situation with my sister. She can decide whatever she would like to do, but we would be comfortable because it's just different. On Ashley's side, it's a whole family system that we have problems with. On my side, it's kind of more isolated individuals, and the drama hasn't like trickled into the whole family system. And so I think we could coexist and just kind of keep our boundaries at the event and it would be fine. So that's kind of the way I view it.
Mm-hmm. And I would say on that one, she's probably more the one driving, like, I don't want to see you. And so we just respect that. We're like,
Yeah.
okay, like, we don't want to be hurtful to you. We love you. We take all the time.
Yeah.
She needs to heal, and we're here when she decides that she wants something different, if she ever does. So yeah, it's easier with some people than others.
Yep. Okay, this next one. I might need to go no contact with my own mother. Since you've done this, how did you begin? That's on you, honey.
With a lot of conversations first of like, these are the things that I see. These are the hurts. These are the wrongs. We're not even just talking about the past. I mean, obviously the past affects it, but it's happening today, and it manifests in different ways. I was wanting to stop today's pain and today's hurt. And then by looking at patterns in the past and why they exist. And it's not even just for us. These patterns are destroying the lives of many people. And so conversations, I tried to have a conversation with everyone. I have begged for therapy. Every single time I get a text from one of my parents, I always put therapy on the table. They don't want to answer to any third party. But I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but I don't think saying hundreds of hours of conversations actually have been had in trying to identify problems, and that they're persisting and they're getting worse, and they just don't want to see it. So
Well, and be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
The mother-daughter relationship, the mother-child relationship is a sensitive one. There's a lot of factors. How old are they?
Totally.
Are they in an abusive relationship with their spouse? There's so many things. And so be patient. And I would say, yes, Ashley is no contact at this point in time, but you've also gone through periods of low contact where you've tried to have a conversation. But
I've tried to have a relationship where it's just gray rock, where we don't talk about the important things or the hurtful things. We just
so you can
talk
experiment
about light things
with it and just try your best through that process, because it is a sensitive one before you ultimately make that commitment. And you want to know and kind of have full, not have a guilty conscience of knowing that you tried everything you could. and it just still isn't going to work. And therefore, the only option is no contact. And when you've done that, you can have peace and you can sleep at night going, I've done everything that I can, but this is what I need to do to have peace in my life. And don't feel guilt over that. You can feel sadness, you can feel grief, you can feel love, you can feel loss, but don't feel guilt. You know, you're doing the best thing you can do. And so if you go through periods of low contact and you just are trying, be patient with yourself through that process.
Yeah.
That's what I
And
would say.
just, I would say, always include God. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, our advice is just our advice, but He has the ability to give you exact answers for what you need and exact understanding. And, you know, and sometimes it's not right away, but when you include Him, He really does
Yeah.
guide that process.
Well, and we also tell people, we want to make it abundantly clear, we are not like these ambassadors or crusaders for no contact and that's the
No.
only option and you need to just stick it to the parents. And like, we would say no contact is a last resort for sure. That being said, we don't regret the decision that we've made. It still is the right decision for
Yeah.
us. And it may be the right decision for you, but we would say proceed carefully with that and don't just jump to it. And only you can be the judge of that. So,
Yeah.
okay, this next one is also a sensitive, hard one.
Mhm.
What will you do when her parents pass away? Meaning, I think your parents in this case. Will you go to their funeral? My dad is sick. So this individual, I think, is maybe in a no contact situation and is debating whether they would go to the funeral of that individual when and if they pass away.
Yeah. I have a lot of empathy for this question because I wrestle with it myself. And the truth is, I don't know. I think about this probably on a weekly basis. My dad is, I think, 84.
80,
Is he
yeah.
80? Yeah, he might be 83, 83, 84. I think about it all the time. If I don't go to the funeral, and I think there's a high likelihood that I would not go to my parents' funerals, it's not because I don't like them or I'm angry or resentful of them. I would actually welcome the opportunity to go and celebrate their life and the good things and all they gave me. And I see all of it. I feel gratitude for all of it. I am not naive for the sacrifices that my parents made that gave me a better life than what they had. And for the times that they loved me in ways that they didn't get love. And there were so many sacrifices for my benefit and my well-being that they made, and I can honor that. And I think that is what honor thy father and thy mother really means. Can you see where they did give or where they were a blessing? And I would love to be able to do that honestly, but my siblings are in such a place. It is a game of control for them. They need to have control over the narrative, and my parents, they need to win. Narcissistic households are all about competition and control and image. And they need this so badly that, and there would be certain individuals, not all of them, of course, you know, they're individuals. Some would be really loving, and some would be absolutely
Ruthless,
condescending, toxic, shove it in your face wherever you could. And I'm not willing to allow those individuals to have access to me in such a sensitive place. My parents' death, when it comes, and it could be at any time, that is deeply personal and private to me. And when I need to, if they pass, I know that they are in heaven. They can now see what I'm doing and understand my heart. And I can express love and gratitude to them through prayer on those days. I don't need to be at the funeral and give my siblings access to have that power and abuse over me, and they will take it. So I'm going to lean on saying I don't think that I will go, but not because of who my parents are. It's just the access that I would give my abusive siblings. However, I will I'm sure my emotions, I'll have a lot when that actually happens. And so I want to leave space for like, how am I feeling at the time? And also, I will be very prayerful about it. And what is the Spirit telling me to do?
And the other thing I would just say, I mean, I think about it too. And there may be a scenario where Ashley goes, but I do not. Kids,
We are
we would get,
individuals.
we're all individuals. And so there's no obligation on anyone's end. I've spent since 2011, I've served and worked in death care. I've worked with funeral homes, cemeteries, hospices, and I've helped literally over 1 million grieving families. So it's near and dear to my heart, funeral service, and I value it tremendously. But I've also learned over the years that we sometimes put so much pressure on the funeral itself. And there are lots of other ways that you can honor and pay tribute to those that have passed on in different ways than what tradition is. And so that may sound, I don't know, kind of like I'm minimizing it. I'm not, but it's just um, if the right thing is for you to not go, and I'm not just saying Ash, but the person that asked this question, again, have patience and compassion with yourself and be open to exploring what other ways you can honor your parents and celebrate their life when they pass away. And I think that there can be some really beautiful things that you can do that are deeply personal and touching. And don't let the funeral, because ugly things happen at funerals. They just do. People fight over finances. People fight over who's paying the bill. People fight over where they're getting buried. Are they going to be buried or cremated? I mean, the list goes on and on. The ugliest versions of people can show up at funerals and at the time of death. So just be patient and allow yourself grace as you try to figure out and navigate what's best for you and for your family.
Yeah. And I like the thing that you learned, like funerals are for the living.
Yeah.
They're not actually for the dead. Like the dead are,
Yeah.
they're in a much better place with more clarity and more peace and all the things. And so, yeah, the funeral is for you to process this person's death. And if it's not going to benefit you, to John's point, there are so many other ways to honor a life. That is another one of those misunderstandings or lies we tell ourselves, that we have to go to the funeral or else it'll be the biggest regret of our life. Like, I don't buy into that.
But you can understand why people do feel that way, and so it's just kind
Yes,
of breaking down the
if it
societal
is,
norms.
yeah, if that's important for them,
Yeah.
but that shouldn't apply
Yeah.
across the board to everyone.
Yeah. All right. And then the last question is, do you see yourself reconciling with Ashley's family? We've kind of answered this through a lot of them, but I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, because my family is so enmeshed, it will not be the whole family. There will be certain individuals who never choose to see truth and honor truth and live in truth. And so those individuals, no, because they will always want harm and control over us. My hope is that there will be individuals in my family who come to the knowledge of the truth, as Jesus says in Scripture, and I love that. And who suddenly see clearly and who then desire a relationship because it's founded on truth. And those individuals, 100%, we would welcome it today. In fact, I long for it. But you also can't rush the process, and I don't know who it will be and who it won't be. I love them all, but my boundary at this point is I will only have a relationship with people who exist in truth and can talk about the truth and can take accountability and can have honest conversations. And I just don't know who they'll be.
Yeah. And my hunch would be, what I always say is, I mean, the short answer is no. I don't think we're 3.5 years into this, and it's not getting
And that
better
is a whole family
anytime
system.
soon.
Yeah.
And so the gut says no. We are faithful people, so therefore we know that miracles can absolutely happen and do happen. And if that does happen, we're completely open to that. But if they don't, that's okay too. Like, I think we've kind of come to peace on that. My other thought is that when Ashley's parents pass away, I think the dynamics in the family actually change. Because of enmeshment and the parents being at the head that kind of set the tone, it will just be an interesting scenario when they are gone. There will certainly be members of the family that will step up to try to fill those shoes, but that's not going to be as well received by all of the other siblings. And Ashley's the youngest of 7, if no one knew. It's a big family. And so will there be fractures and things happen? Right now, they have to stay in alignment and compliance. And if they even have a conversation with us, it's seen as great betrayal to the parents. And so as a result,
Well,
everyone doesn't do
and we
anything.
also wonder, like, I think that there could be several people who they want inheritance,
Yeah.
and they will not get it. There is no way I'll get a dime, and
Yeah.
I don't care about that. That is not something I care about, but others might really care about that.
Yeah.
And, it'll be interesting to see when and how that all plays out. If suddenly my parents are gone and they don't have, my dad, especially in his control, kind of like dictating things, and then they do have their inheritance. Like, I don't know, do they get to a more calm place? And we'll just see. Who
Families are
knows?
complicated.
Yeah.
So, all right, that is the end of our Q&A session. Look, we kept it at about 30 minutes,
Oh, go us.
but hopefully that was helpful for some of you. We will do these again, and we'll just kind of keep a running tab of questions, and we'll tackle these from time to time. But hopefully they're helpful for you. Have a great day, everyone.
See ya.
All right, everyone, that is a wrap on this episode. We hope that something that we covered today helped you feel a little less alone in whatever it is that you're navigating. If you have a situation you want us to talk through in a future episode, please send it to us. You can direct message us or use the link in the description. We read all of them, and we'll keep doing these Q&A episodes regularly. And if this episode comes to mind while thinking about someone in your life, please share it with them. Sometimes hearing the other people wrestle with the same things is what finally opens a conversation. That's all we got today. Thank you so much for being with us. We hope you have a great week.